Friends, good morning and welcome. Three questions have been raised and again and again. First, why God? Second, why Atma? Third, why Sahaja Yoga? Let us today try to find out answer to each one of this. First, why God? Friends, we all exist. Everything in the creation exists. But how do we know it exists? And if it exists, how will we know or say that it actually exists? We ask all the questions in the world, but why? Before we can answer all these questions, a fundamental question comes. Where from this question? Who is asking the question? And if answer is given, who will tell that which is the answer or not the answer, or correct answer or not the correct answer? Let us look at the first answer. Before we go to God, before we go to Atma, before we go to Sahaja, let us find out who we are. Why are we asking the question? And if we are asking the question, how will we confirm that what we asked is correct and what is answered is also understood by us? To answer these questions, let us look around. What all is around us? Space, whether we deny or we accept, that's the beginning. Since we are sitting and asking questions, that means we exist. We had to begin somewhere. We had to start from some point somewhere. If we, if we are asking a question, if we are listening to a question, if we are answering a question, it, that means we exist. If we start with this as a premise that we exist and that's why we are asking questions, that's why we are listening to the answers, and that's why we are thinking whether good or bad or yes or no, right or wrong. If we say that we exist, what does it mean? There are tables, there are chairs, there are walls, there are rooms, there are trees, there are plants, there are animals, there are human beings, there are birds, and all that around us. We accept them as something which is existing. Hence, we are accepting that we are also living. What are all this? Look at it seriously. They are able to move, they are able to stand, they are able to exist. Where? Human beings, to understand anything, have to define or give a name by which they identify that and then understand later on when that word is used, yes, this is what it is. The answer given to why we exist, where we exist, we are, not we are, everything around us is or not is physical existence. That means this physical body, all these physical things, all the items around us are existing because we can see, we can feel, right? We can touch and confirm and say that it is. That means we the asking body, is the essence of this existence first, before any answer is given. This is called physical existence. But where does it exist? It exists in something called air we don't see, but we breathe. It exists in something which is called visible. We can see, but and we have given these names: air, light, water, space, etc. Therefore, this existence is defined by something which is a space, which allows the physical things to exist, which means has dimensions of existence known as length, breadth, height, or x, y, z, where a physical item can exist. There is a dimension here which is called time. We see as young, we see as middle, we can see as old, and we see as dying. That means time is also a dimension. So we have found out the fourth dimension, x, y, z, t. But how are we knowing all this? There's something here, something which makes us perceive, makes us feel all these things. This is called consciousness. Hence, there is a dimension beyond space and time, which is known as Chetna or consciousness. It is through consciousness that our mind is able to perceive, or our body is able to perceive, or we are able to perceive. Next question comes: what is this perception? So there is a next dimension, which is the sixth dimension, and that dimension is awareness. So we have length, breadth, height, time, consciousness as dimensions. Awareness as a dimension. But who is asking all these questions? Who is behind all this? The name given to this, who is asking these questions and who is behind all this, is Atma or the soul. And soul is a dimension of our existence, seventh dimension of our existence. But question comes: who created this? What is the source of all this? And we gave the name God or Paramatma or Creator. And hence, God, Creator, Paramatma is a dimension. We have found out 8 dimensions in our being: who is asking questions, who is existing, right? Who is understanding what it is, who is the source of creation. But there are other dimensions also within these dimensions, which we will see. Therefore, to answer the question, who is God? God is the one who has created all of us. To answer the question, what is Atma? Atma is the one which is making us as being, created by God, making us being. And since God also creates and we are also asking questions, relationship between the two is defined as Atma is the reflection of Paramatma in the being. And why Sahaja Yoga? The question, how do we know that we are Atma? Question, how do you know there is Paramatma? The instrument of telling all this is known as Sahaja Yoga. Sahaja Yoga empowers us to know the self through self realization. Sahaja Yoga empowers us to know God through self realization and yoga, union of Atma with Paramatma. Therefore, we exist because God created us. Atma is the unit of existence inside every living, and Paramatma is the creator of everything. Hope it answers some questions. Thank you. God bless all.